The Legend of Zelda series has always been one of my favorite Nintendo franchises. Between the 2D games that started it all, or the freedom of the 3D adventures, I've always loved that each Zelda experience feels unique. When Echoes of Wisdom was revealed in the June Nintendo Direct, I was immediately intrigued. It's been 9 years since we've gotten a brand new mainline 2D Zelda game with the release of Triforce Heroes, and we've already spent a lot of time with the characters from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, so this looked to be a fresh new adventure. You start the game as Link, fully maxed out, on his way to rescue Princess Zelda from Ganon. During their confrontation, a rift opens in the ground and begins to expand and swallow the two of them. Before he's taken, Link frees Zelda from her crystal prison and she makes her escape, as the rift grows larger and larger, encompassing a large chunk of the land. This time, it's up to Zelda to save Link, and the fate of the world is now in her hands. That's right, Zelda is the star of this game. An evil echoed version of her father, falsely accusing Zelda of creating the treacherous rifts, imprisons her and throws her into the Hyrule Castle dungeon. It's here that she meets a fairy named Tri. Tri gives Zelda the Tri-Rod, providing her the power to create echoes and help restore the rifts to save the world. One of the biggest changes Echoes of Wisdom brings to the 2D Zelda formula is the way you attack. In most cases, Zelda doesn't directly attack enemies. You summon echoes, which can be learned by defeating enemies or interacting with various objects throughout Hyrule. It was a bit overwhelming at first, but you quickly get the hang of it. The echoes you summon each have a different cost, and they're limited by Tri's current level, which can be upgraded as you clear rifts across the land. As you learn new echoes, you learn the ways you can combine them for every scenario. Crossing a gap? Stack some beds. Need more vertical coverage? The water block allows for insane reach. You're really only as limited as your mind will allow. There's also the bind ability, which allows you to move enemies or follow them, and larger objects like with the Ultra Hand in Tears of the Kingdom. At certain points in the game, you can unlock Link's weapons and use them to take on enemies with some more up-close combat. I never did get fully used to using echoes for combat exclusively, and my impatience would often lead me to quickly enabling the Link Sword Fighter form to try and finish off enemies as I was used to in a much quicker method. When you're in this Link form, there is a power meter that depletes, and it helps keep the feature balanced and prevent overuse. Even though it seems that many enemies can be quickly defeated by repeatedly squishing them or spamming attacks from certain echoes, a lot of the fun I had came from figuring out which method of defeating a certain type of enemy would be the quickest. Regarding the echoes, one of the only complaints that I have is how tedious they are to navigate. Holding L brings up a list of the echoes you've obtained, and you use the stick to select the echo you want. This is presented through a one-row tall menu that you have to scroll through. This could have easily been solved by having a bunch of them in a grid layout, or just by having more ways to customize the way they're displayed. It wasn't usually an issue for me as I kept it sorted by most recent and stuck to a few main echoes, but there were moments where an NPC would want something specific and I'd have to search through it one by one just to find the correct item. The game's level of freedom can be compared to the near limitless potential of Tears of the Kingdom. It's great really, you're encouraged to break the game and solve puzzles through unconventional means. Sure, you'll find an echo that'll seem to be the universal solution to every problem, but it was fun to try and figure out how to use each one in different situations. There is a path the game wants you to follow, but I definitely didn't follow it and still had a great time. This was made especially apparent when I had done all but one dungeon, had maxed out my sword, energy, and bow, only to find out I hadn't even unlocked bombs yet. There are also plenty of collectibles to find. The classic heart and heart containers make their reappearance. You can also find might crystals, which can be used to upgrade your sword fighter form. This increases how long the form lasts and powers up your weapons. Other items you find in quests can be equipped and help in different situations, such as allowing you to jump higher or make your spin radius bigger. There is a lot to do here, and it's actually because of the freedom that you have that I was able to 100% complete the game without any type of guide, something I've never been able to do with any other game in the series. In addition to dungeons, you'll occasionally have to solve still world puzzles by entering rifts scattered around the map. These acted almost as mini dungeons where you have to rescue varying amounts of Tri's friends. Clearing the still worlds helps progression toward the numerous side quests in the game, and helps you level up Tri to expand your echo potential. I very much enjoyed figuring out how to enter these levels, as they offer just a bit more of the puzzle solving fun throughout the rest of the game without the time commitment of a full-size dungeon. What I loved most about Echoes of Wisdom is how it feels like all the elements of a 3D Zelda are available to you in this 2D space. Right from the start, I didn't think I'd ever get used to being able to jump in a game like this, but it quickly felt natural. You normally see a wall of trees in these kinds of games and say, oh, I can't go there, but the echoes allow you to place a platform on there and work your way up top. It vastly expands the world you can explore. Sometimes I would think that I'd wander too far off the path, but the game rewards your exploration with collectibles such as stamp points, might crystals, and heart containers. You can also make smoothies, which to me felt like a stripped down version of the cooking mechanic in other Zelda games, but I rarely use this and I wish it was just a bit more useful. It's so great to be back to the traditional dungeon structure, and it's nice knowing that both 2D and 3D Zelda titles are able to coexist on the same platform. The obvious difference that allows Echoes of Wisdom to stand apart from other Zelda games is that Link is no longer in the starring role. Coming off of the release of Princess Peach Showtime earlier this year, I can't say I wasn't a little hesitant that this would take a similar approach and dial back the difficulty, and I'm pretty happy to say that I was satisfied with the result. This plays for the most part as you would expect any other 2D Zelda game to play, and both Zelda veterans and newcomers to the series should have no trouble adapting to the playstyle. The visuals are great and the music is great too. The game adopted the same art style as the 2019 Link's Awakening remake. There is the occasional frame drop when you enter certain areas, or when certain enemies attack, but they never became too obtrusive or made the game feel unplayable. I'm generally very forgiving with this stuff, but it didn't hinder my experience at all. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is a fantastic and fresh take on the traditional Zelda formula. It doesn't drastically change the 2D Zelda experience, but it has enough unique ideas that allows it to stand on its own while still fitting in perfectly with the rest of the series. The game is a truly fine example of Nintendo's creativity and the open-ended gameplay constantly reminded of why I fell in love with this series in the first place.